For nearly 2 decades now, Aaron Rodgers has been one of the biggest superstars in the NFL. During his time in Green Bay, Rodgers broke records, won 4 MVPs, and picked apart some of the league's best defenses during a glittering Hall of Fame career. But in the 2005 NFL Draft, Rodgers famously slid down the board as 23 teams passed on him before Green Bay secured their future legend. So how did one of football's greatest quarterbacks fall so far, and which teams missed their chance? Let's uncover the story behind the draft day mystery. Many had predicted that Cal's Aaron Rodgers would simply cross the bay and become a 49er with the first pick, but the San Francisco front office had other ideas. The Niners instead went for Alex Smith out of Utah, which wasn't a bad pick, it just wasn't Aaron Rodgers. Smith played 8 seasons in San Francisco, and after a rocky first few years, he turned it around, nearly guiding the Niners to the Super Bowl in 2011. After suffering an injury in 2012, the Niners traded him to the Chiefs, where he had 5 winning seasons before ultimately being replaced by Patrick Mahomes in 2018. Smith was a 3-time Pro Bowler who won 99 games in the league, a good career by any metric, but Niners fans have always wondered what could have been. At pick number 2, the Dolphins selected running back Ronnie Brown out of Auburn. Brown was a star in college, but in 6 seasons in Miami, he only broke 1,000 yards once and struggled to replicate the promise he had previously shown. Brown was a good running back, but nothing spectacular, and he eventually retired in 2014 after bouncing around Philly, San Diego, and Houston. Not a great second pick. Braylon Edwards was the 3rd man off the board, having been the Blitnikoff Award winner in 2004 for his performances at Michigan. The Cleveland Browns had him for 4.5 seasons, during which he put up 3,697 yards, with his best coming in 2007, when he racked up 16 touchdowns, more than every player in the league except for Randy Moss. Beyond that season though, Edwards was inconsistent, and wasn't the superstar wideout Cleveland was looking for. His career ended in 2012, having never quite lived up to his promise out of college. Next up were the Bears, who selected Cedric Benson out of Texas, hoping he would transform their running game. Benson had 5,540 yards and 64 touchdowns during 4 years in college, but immediately ran into problems in the NFL, holding out for a bigger contract and falling out with coaches before he'd even played a snap. After some serious legal issues in the 2008 offseason, he was released and ultimately picked up by the Bengals, where he found more success than in Chicago. Benson was a good back, but derailed his own career at several turns and was out of the league by 2012 despite 3,000-yard campaigns. Another tailback with a solid, unspectacular career was Cadillac Williams, taken 5th overall by the Buccaneers. Williams started strong in Tampa, winning Rookie of the Year in 2005 following a 1,178-yard season on a resurgent Bucs team. However, he never repeated his rookie year, failing to record 4 yards a carry for the rest of his time in the league. He suffered serious injury setbacks in both 2007 and 2008, and despite a decent 832-yard showing in 2009, his pro career ended just 2 years later after a forgettable season with the Rams. Up next is cornerback Adam "Pac-Man" Jones, who had a successful NFL career despite constant off-field issues. Jones made the All-Rookie team as a Titan, but was suspended by the league for the 2007 season after an assault and shooting charge, which put his NFL career in serious jeopardy. However, Jones was eventually reinstated and found success with the Bengals for many years, including being named first-team All-Pro in 2014 before retiring in 2018. A successful career, no doubt, but one marred by serious legal and conduct issues. Next up, we have a bona fide bust for the Minnesota Vikings in the form of receiver Troy Williamson. Williamson joined the team after the departure of Randy Moss, but it was obvious early on that he would not be an adequate replacement, as he was infamous for dropped passes and minimal offensive output. Williams lasted just 3 years in Minnesota, making nowhere near the kind of impact you'd hope for from the 7th overall pick. At pick 8, the Arizona Cardinals selected safety Antrel Rolle out of Miami, who became one of the better picks from this first round. Rolle was a 2-time All-Pro and 3-time Pro Bowler who played an important role in the Cards making their first ever Super Bowl appearance in Super Bowl 43. However, the Cardinals couldn't afford to keep him, and he left for the Giants in 2010, becoming the highest paid safety in league history at the time. Rolle won a championship in New York before hanging up his cleats in 2015. A good use of the 8th overall pick. At number 9, Washington selected cornerback Carlos Rodgers, who overcame several injuries early on to have a solid pro career. Rodgers spent 6 years in DC as part of a defense that was frequently among the league's best, ranking in the top 10 3 times. Rodgers left in 2011 to become a 49er, where he made his first career Pro Bowl and helped the team reach the Super Bowl in the 2012 season. Overall, a valid selection at the 9th spot. The Detroit Lions selected Mike Williams 10th overall, banking on his elite performance at USC and hoping he could recapture that form despite his absence from the 2004 college season. Ultimately though, Williams turned out to be a bust, with just 449 yards in 2 years as a Lion. He bounced around the league afterward before retiring in 2011. Williams being a bust stung even more considering who they could have had just one pick later. At number 11, the Cowboys picked DeMarcus Ware, one of the best defensive players of this century and deservedly inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023. Beyond Rodgers, Ware was the best player in this draft, an absolute force of nature who made 7 All-Pro teams and the All-Decade team for the 2000s. Ware enjoyed most of his career as a Cowboy, but finished up his time in the league with the Broncos, winning Super Bowl 50 to cap off a superb pro career. For a full decade, Ware set the standard at the defensive end position, making the Cowboys one of the few teams on this list not regretting their pick too much. Another impressive defender was Shawn Merriman, taken 12th by the then San Diego Chargers. Merriman was Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2005 and made 3 Pro Bowls in his first 3 years before knee injuries began to take their toll. After an impressive start, Merriman managed just 33 games over his next 5 seasons and retired in 2013. His career was sadly derailed after so much early promise. Another partial success came at number 13, with the Saints taking offensive tackle Jamal Brown out of Oklahoma. Brown was a powerful offensive tackle who was first-team All-Pro in 2006 as the Saints made a shock NFC Championship run in the first year of the Peyton Breeze era. Brown was a big part of the team's success and made another Pro Bowl in 2008. However, he suffered an ACL tear that ruled him out of the 2009 season and was never quite the same afterward. Following a trade to Washington and suffering multiple hip injuries, he never returned to his early promise, retiring at the end of the 2012 campaign. The Panthers drafted linebacker Thomas Davis at pick 14 out of Georgia. Davis is a Panthers legend, having spent 14 years with the team, recording 1,094 tackles and being named a Pro Bowler 3 times. Davis played a major role in the Panthers' brilliant 15-1 season in 2015, earning first-team All-Pro honors and helping the team reach Super Bowl 50. He's gone down as one of the greatest Panthers ever, and an excellent pickup here. Another legendary linebacker came off the board at number 15, with the Chiefs taking Derrick Johnson. Johnson spent 13 years in Kansas City, becoming the team's all-time leading tackler with 941 solo tackles. At his peak, Johnson made 4 Pro Bowls and was among the very best at his position. A resounding success in the middle of this first round. But the next 8 picks were far from successful, with very little to show for their time in the league. At 16, the Houston Texans took Travis Johnson out of Florida State, who lasted 6 years in the league for both the Texans and the Chargers. Johnson did suffer from injuries, but when he played, he wasn't hugely impactful, and ended up as a disappointment for Houston. Next up is a sad tale of injuries totally wrecking a promising career. David Pollock of the Bengals had a decent rookie season before suffering a devastating vertebrae injury against the Browns in Week 2 of the 2006 season. Despite attempting rehabilitation for this, Pollock would never play football again, a brutal end to a career that could have gone so differently. Next up is the Vikings' second pick of the round, which they would squander just as badly as they had the first. Erasmus James became a Viking with the 18th pick and would play just 23 games for the team at defensive end, with just 5 sacks in 3 years. For the Vikings to whiff this badly on 2 first-round picks is obviously rough, but when you consider that their hated rivals got a Hall of Fame quarterback that terrorized them for years just 6 picks later, that's really gotta sting. At number 19, the Rams went for All-American offensive tackle Alex Barron out of FSU, looking for a long-term replacement for the aging Orlando Pace. This didn't work out for the Rams, with Barron never fully convincing fans or coaches that he was the future at either left or right tackle. Many consider Barron a bust in St. Louis, as he was flagged often for false start penalties and regularly struggled with blocking assignments, making him another waste of a pick. After the Cowboys struck gold with DeMarcus Ware, they didn't quite repeat that here, picking up Marcus Spears as a defensive end out of LSU. Spears did have success in Dallas and made the All-Rookie team in 2005, beginning a fairly productive 8-year stretch as a Cowboy, playing 119 times for the franchise. Spears retired in 2013 and is now an analyst on ESPN, where younger viewers may be more familiar with him. At number 21, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Matt Jones at receiver, looking to add some firepower to build on the previous year's 9-7 record. This pick shocked many, as Jones had been a quarterback in college and hadn't played full-time receiver at any previous point. Jones spent 4 years in Duval County, going for 2,153 receiving yards along the way before being released in 2008 for a substance abuse violation. That would turn out to be the end of the road for him, never playing an NFL snap again. A slightly better receiver at 22 was Mark Clayton for the Baltimore Ravens, who made the All-Rookie team in 2005 and nearly cracked 1,000 yards during his second year on the team. But that was as good as it got for Clayton, who was never a top receiver in Baltimore and was eventually traded to St. Louis in 2010, where his career fizzled out. Not a great pick. And now, we get to the last man taken before Aaron Rodgers, Fabian Washington of the Oakland Raiders. As a corner, Washington was inconsistent in Oakland, spending 3 years there before being traded to Baltimore in 2008. Washington lasted 6 seasons in the league and was nothing more than average, which certainly can't be said for the guy drafted right after him. Finally, we reach Aaron Rodgers, who fell to the Packers at pick 24. It's hard to overstate just how good Rodgers has been since he first stepped onto an NFL field. After spending 3 seasons backing up another Hall of Famer in Brett Favre, Rodgers became the Green Bay Packers starter in 2008 and was instantly among the league's elite quarterbacks. Rodgers is a 4-time league MVP, responsible for some of the greatest individual seasons of all time. Most notably his 2011 campaign, in which he posted a passer rating of 122.5, which remains the best in NFL history. Despite the pressure of replacing Favre, Rodgers has surpassed him in the eyes of many Packers fans. His career is highlighted by a Super Bowl win in February 2011 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, throwing 3 touchdowns and earning Super Bowl MVP honors. Rodgers' career should almost certainly have seen him pick up more championships to accompany his immense personal accolades. Nevertheless, there is no doubt that he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, and Packers fans remain grateful that all these teams passed on him back in 2005. But where is Aaron Rodgers in your GOAT rankings? And which of these players do you think was the biggest bust? Let us know in the comments.